What drives a man to commit the unthinkable? Is it desperation, arrogance, or the belief that he stands above morality? Some crimes shatter lives, others the very soul of the criminal himself. Welcome to the world of Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, a tale of guilt, redemption, and the unbearable weight of conscience. In the murky streets of St. Petersburg, where the cold air cuts through the skin and the fog wraps the city in a shroud of uncertainty, life is a constant struggle. The low hum of the bustling city is overshadowed by the silence of despair. Here, the shadows of crime linger around every corner, where the poor and forgotten live in a suffocating misery. Among them walks Rodion Raskolnikov, a young man whose brilliance is both his gift and his curse. Once a promising student, he now drifts aimlessly through life, his mind consumed by an unsettling belief that certain individuals, the extraordinary, have the right to break the law for a greater purpose. He considers himself one of these individuals, but his actions will soon prove that no theory, no matter how grand, can withstand the weight of reality. The story begins with a deep moral question. Can a man truly transcend the law? Can he commit a crime for a cause he believes is just and still retain his humanity? For Raskolnikov, the answer lies in the cruel, lonely streets of St. Petersburg. Raskolnikov's world is one of crushing poverty. His rent is overdue and his stomach is empty. The sight of his mother's letters, filled with the anxiety of their financial ruin, weighs heavily on him. His sister Dunya, too, has her own troubles, sacrificing her happiness for the sake of the family. Desperation gnaws at him from every corner, pushing him toward an idea that grows more unsettling with every passing day. In the depths of his mind, Raskolnikov crafts a theory, one that justifies his twisted thoughts. He tells himself that Alyona Ivanovna, the old pawnbroker, is a cancer in society, leeching off the poor and exploiting their misery. He convinces himself that by ridding the world of her, he will be doing more good than harm. His own suffering becomes a righteous cause, a justification for what he believes is a necessary act. One fateful evening, under the pretense of pawning an item, Raskolnikov steps into Alyona's cluttered apartment. The air is thick with tension, and the dim light casts long shadows on the walls. As she counts her money, unaware of the looming danger, Raskolnikov raises an axe. His breath quickens, his pulse races. The first strike is swift, brutal. The old woman crumples to the floor, lifeless. But fate is cruel. Just as Raskolnikov believes he has escaped, a second figure enters, the pawnbroker's innocent sister, Lizaveta. The look of horror on her face sends a chill through him. His mind, clouded by panic, makes an impulse decision. He strikes again. The second murder is as cold and emotionless as the first, yet the guilt begins to seep into Raskolnikov's soul like a poison. With the blood of two women on his hands, Raskolnikov's descent into madness begins. His mind, once sharp and analytical, begins to crack under the pressure. Sleep eludes him. He stumbles through the streets, his eyes wild, his body trembling with fever. The streets of St. Petersburg, once familiar, now seem to mock him, twisting into labyrinths of guilt and paranoia. Raskolnikov's thoughts are consumed by the murders. Every corner he turns feels like an interrogation. Every stranger's glance seems to pierce his very soul. His once bold and confident steps now falter, as if the weight of his actions is pulling him deeper into the ground. He feels the presence of the law creeping up behind him, but it is not the police he fears. It is the law of his own conscience. His mind betrays him, replaying the crime over and over, each image more vivid, more terrifying than the last. Despite his growing paranoia, Raskolnikov tries to avoid the police, sensing that they are closing in on him. But fate intervenes in the form of Porfiry Petrovich, a shrewd and calculating detective. Porfiry is patient, never rushing to make accusations. He plays a slow, psychological game with Raskolnikov, speaking in riddles and hints, his eyes constantly searching for the truth. Raskolnikov feels trapped, as if Porfiry is slowly tightening a noose around his neck. The detective never directly accuses him, yet the air between them crackles with unspoken understanding. And then there is Sonia, a fragile, kind-hearted girl who has been broken by life's cruelties, but who still clings to faith and hope. Sonia is the first person who sees through Raskolnikov's facade. She sees the torment in his eyes, the darkness that threatens to consume him. She does not condemn him, but instead offers him something he has long since lost: compassion. Sonia's unwavering belief in redemption, in the power of suffering and atonement, becomes a beacon of light in Raskolnikov's dark world. The days stretch into weeks, and the weight of Raskolnikov's guilt becomes unbearable. The city, once a familiar landscape, now seems to close in on him, suffocating him with its relentless noise and chaos. Sonia's words echo in his mind. You must confess. You must atone. Only then will your soul be free. For days he struggles with the decision. Can he truly face the truth of his actions? Can he accept the consequences of his crime? The city, with its cold, indifferent streets, seems to offer no answers, only the constant reminder of his own sins. Raskolnikov's internal battle reaches its climax when he steps onto a bridge, staring at the swirling waters below. The river, dark and endless, seems to mirror the turmoil within him. In a final act of courage, Raskolnikov walks to the police station. His confession is not a moment of triumph, but one of utter exhaustion. The weight of his guilt, the fear of retribution, and the longing for redemption all spill out in one painful, heartbreaking release. The moment he confesses, a heavy burden lifts from his shoulders, but it is quickly replaced by the cold, hard reality of his punishment. Exile to Siberia follows, a place as cold and unforgiving as the guilt that still gnaws at his soul. Yet, in the harshest of environments, something changes in Raskolnikov. The endless labor, the isolation, the humility, it all begins to strip away the layers of arrogance and pride that once defined him. And through it all, Sonia remains by his side. She does not abandon him, does not judge him for his past. Her love and devotion become the foundation of his redemption, a testament to the power of forgiveness and the possibility of change. Some crimes are punished by the law, others by the unrelenting torment of conscience. But true redemption, true freedom, comes only when a man confronts the darkest corners of his soul and accepts the consequences of his actions. It is a painful, difficult journey, but in the end, It is the only path to true peace. Crime and Punishment is not just a story of crime. It is a story of the human soul, of its darkness and its light. It is a tale of guilt, punishment, and ultimately redemption. Through Raskolnikov's journey, Dostoevsky explores the depths of human suffering, the nature of evil, and the possibility of change. In the end, it is not the law that brings redemption. It is the acceptance of one's own sins and the willingness to atone that leads to true freedom.